like David in this house. 13, come on. 14, come on. 15, come on. Get it. 17.
You don't know me, son.
Get it. 18.
You don't know me, son.
Get it. 19.
You don't know me, son.
Yeah. 20, you got some more in you. 21, yeah, get it again. Come on, we want to see it. Good, 22.
Who's gonna carry the boats and the logs?
That's you, buddy. Come on, 23. Come on, 24. One more, David. One more.
Carry the boats.
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it.
What is up, you guys? Happy Wednesday. I'm fired up. What another crazy day in Hexaco. Dubs in the chat if you have not been footed out yet and you're winning hard. Let me just check something real quick. What a day, what a day. What a historic day it's been. Let's see. Looks like people are hopping in. What up, Marcavelli? AGMI, what up, my man? Vets in Crypto, Legend, what's up, my man? Bang, bang. Ride or Die. Name, my man, how you doing? Legends. Yo, yo, yo. What up, Tin Top? Hex made, we made. We're going to carry the boats. That's absolutely right. W, although I don't own any E-Hex. Might be a good time to buy. What up, David? AGMI. Hell yeah, bro. Party going to the moon. We are definitely not winning hard. Absolutely we are. You got to change your perspective. What up, Hex made? All right, so what's up? Can we all trash talk Pulse next so we can scoop up some cheap tokens from the weak baby lettuce hands on Friday when I get paid? Honestly, who knows what's next? I mean, it's E-Hex today. Who knows what's up, big man sleeve. Force to DCA at 0.10 ratio. Dubs. MT Corner, what up? Mo Funk. Let's go, another 3-hour stream. We'll see, man. That was like unplanned. I didn't even mean to go 3 hours, but it was just hilarious. RH was definitely watching the stream. Probably watching again right now. So what up, RH? Welcome to the chat. Drop in if you want. What do you think the Ink token is going to do? I have a feeling it's going to skyrocket. I mean, it's doing really well. We can check out the chart later. Crypto Stylist, how you doing? Good to see you. All the people who did the ES lost their 10x multiplier in Hedron. We are so good. Damn, I hadn't even thought of that. That's crazy. That's a big win. That's a big, big win. Well, let's check out the historic news. 60 hex payout per T-share on Ethereum. Let's go. Over $1 billion. I mean, I even look. I think I took this like an hour ago. I don't know what it's at now. Over $1 billion in penalties from weak hands who got footed out by Richard Hart. That's crazy. That's huge. Now, like, the thing is, people are going to look at this and be like, oh, Hex is down so bad right now. Like, this isn't worth much. But, I mean, if this continues, if RH continues this campaign, we're probably going to see more payouts like this on a regular basis. And who knows, maybe just the effects of his last campaign will linger. But this is huge, guys. This is a win. I tweeted out earlier today that Hex made an oath to defend against enemies, both foreign and domestic, and it's doing that right now. The code doesn't care about your feelings, and it rewards the people who are using the protocol right and who aren't flooded out of their bags. Because what's happening right now is nothing different from early day Hex when the whole world was against us and people got fudded out over nonsense. the contract is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, and it's rewarding the right people. And it's awesome. I'm so fired up right now. I'm fired up. I'm fired up for a lot of reasons that I'm going to talk about more. But truly, I'm like, the right people are winning right now, and the wrong people are getting exposed 100%. Now, like, on the flip side, like, Dib Catcher made a really interesting tweet. So this was the tweet: excluding Hex owned by OA, the value markdown of eHex owned by users in the last few days is about 12x the gas spent using the Hex contract on Ethereum since launch. So when Richard Hart was trying to gaslight the community and blame us for this dip, he wanted to brag about saving people from gas fees, and in reality, the dip caused over $600 million in loss in 4 days, and that's our community. And I'm honestly really disappointed with how some people in our community reacted to that. They treated people like idiots. They laughed. They relished in loss of other people. And so that just got me fired up. Like, I'm here to be a voice of the people, man. I love my community. And I'm going to fight for Hex on Ethereum because the community did not deserve to be treated like that, like this. Like we made a bad decision, or that you should have known all along. Because here's the thing, guys. Like, I was reading some sad tweets, like this one from Seeking Hexcellence. She actually wrote a message to Richard Hart. This was her tweet. It said, "I hope Richard Hart sees this message and understands my heartfelt apology. I regret my influence to invest in eHex, who staked out 10 to 15 years with me post fork." So this person onboarded people not knowing that they should have known that PHEX is going to be the hex. I mistakenly believed we were duplicating our tokens by forking, not sacrificing more. I'm sorry for any letdowns. So my question to people is, like, you know, they think that who this hurt was just like OG Hexkins who had stakes before Pulse Chain launched, but that is not the truth. There's a lot of people out there who bought Hex on Ethereum, not knowing that this was gonna happen. That Richard Hart was gonna decide one random Sunday that I'm gonna declare this as the hex. So this was her message to Richard. "Hi, Richard. I want to apologize if I've let you down or misinterpreted things. I went all in, pulling every penny from my 401k and my kids' college fund after the fork. While everyone was buying shiny new tokens, I believed I was getting genius T-share prices with eHex. I've been an avid follower, watching all your videos and listening to all your streams for hours every day for the past few years. I've also passionately onboarded many to this community. I'm sorry if I've disappointed you and our community. I've been advising everyone to grab the cheapest RH token, which after the fork has been eHex. I thought I was being loyal and financially savvy by helping to strengthen our community, our entire ecosystem. This way, newcomers also get the best value for their money. I've been explaining to people that due to Hart's Law, all tokens will rise together." Another tweet from Crypto Nom, who is an awesome community member. She says, "This has been the worst week in my Hex history," and that's coming from someone who's been in RH Eco since 2018. "I apologize to anyone I onboarded onto eHex unknowingly. I'm just as disappointed as most. Might take a break, to be honest. It's been quite a shit show." And that it has, man. Like, I spoke last night about people having the right to be upset, and they absolutely do. This has turned a lot of people off, lost a lot of trust. And, I, like, yesterday, rather than, coming out and just like trying to make things better, Richard Hart has decided to double down. After his first little campaign against eHex, he did another one, dropping the price like another 30% or something. And it's like, why? you're only hurting your own community. You're not benefiting Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain is down to 145 million bridge to Pulse Chain. That was 180 million like the 7th. So we were at an all-time high. People are not bridging, they're actually bridging out. DAI is actually in decline since this is going down. RH, if you're watching this, like, I don't know what your intention is to keep fighting it, but to be honest, the reason I'm still talking about this is because people like this, I want to encourage them, and I want to know that, like, they're not in this like fight alone. And I don't want them to make rash decisions, emergency in staking, because there is hope at the end of this tunnel. And the treatment that they're getting, not only from how Richard Hart is treating these decisions, but from the rest of the community, laughing in their face, calling them stupid, is ridiculous. And I'm also disappointed in the people that have stayed quiet. A lot of people in our community are so afraid that that speaking truth or calling things out, that they're gonna like lose lose favor amongst the crowd. That is the definition of being a coward, honestly. And that's been pissing me off a lot too. But I'm willing to talk about it, and I'm not going anywhere. And I'm like more. I spoke on stream yesterday, like, was never a Hex maxi, was never encouraging people to stake Hex on Ethereum over Pulse Chain, was never advising people to buy eHex over pHex. But now I kind of feel like I am being called to like stand up for people, stand up for this community, and speak truth and talk about it. So I'm gonna keep doing that. Dibcatcher was dropping some really good tweets yesterday as well. He says, I really can't relate to the defeatist mentality a lot of people have been infected with this bear market. People acting as if ETH gas killed Hex on Ethereum is a sign of weakness and inferiority. Losers cry and run away. Winners defeat the challenge head on and turn it into an advantage. It's acceptable to get behind a narrative you don't fully believe if you're financially or socially incentivized, but internalizing this feeling of defeat is pathetic. And that's honestly how I like, he spoke a lot of things I was feeling. It's like, it is such a weak mentality to try to like blame ETH gas fees for killing Hex on Ethereum like that. Honestly, if we're really looking at Ethereum price, like, some other factors, some more recent factors have had much worse impact on Hex and on Hexkins than ETH gas. But I thought that was a really good tweet. This was another good one. I don't believe the BankX shakeout theory because they really aren't anything special. 800 million Hex being actively sold by them is no different than 10 users with 80 million Hex actively selling, 100 users with 8 million Hex actively selling, 1,000 users with 800 Hex actively selling. So the whole BankX thing is honestly just another narrative that people are trying to spin up to get you to be afraid of Hex on Ethereum. And I would just ignore it, honestly. They're honestly grabbing at straws, like anything they can to, and I don't know what their motives are. Like, I think partially, the tweet I dropped, and this is 100% the truth, and anyone who thinks otherwise is like oblivious. But people, months, it's plainly obvious who these individuals are and their motives. Don't get it twisted for a second. The people that are laughing at other people, the people that are claiming that they were right, and like using this as a platform to make themselves look better. Those are the people that wrecked the chart for the past 9 months. They dumped, and now they feel smart because RH decided that he was going to decide the market and get everyone to dump it. So everyone should be fully aware of that. And they, I see them trying to like twist this narrative that they're the ones trying to help people, but they're not. They're the ones that did not use Hex as intended, and they EES'd and dumped, and that's the truth. And they like I can verify that. This is a really good tweet from Hawaiian X. I would definitely recommend following him if you're a Hexkin. And this kind of ties into what I was saying yesterday, like with the whole eHex thing. Like initially, I was just like, just leave it alone. Like the market was doing just fine. I'll go back to this chart before I read that off. But the two most impactful things on the eHex price has been Richard Hart's tweets. This one led to the first drop. This was the market deciding. This was letting eHex have its own life. While it wasn't one-to-one with pHex, which I don't think anyone expected. I think everyone expected it to be at a discount, but it was doing fine and had a crazy run up. But this is like to say that this drop, the 85% drop or whatever it was the market deciding after this tweet is ridiculous. And truthfully, I think I speak for most holders of Hex on Ethereum. It's like, just leave it alone. Like I don't understand the FUD, like the necessity. It doesn't make people want to buy Pulse Chain Hex, and it turns people off from Pulse Chain altogether. Like this kind of violated a lot of like trust for a lot of people. So let's go back to this tweet from Juan. And I can't see comments right now, guys. I'll get to your comments after I read this off, but eHex holders who speak up are some of the most solid people in the community. Just look, nobody said it was better than pHex. We simply don't understand what the point of leading a mob of pHex holders to start destroying it. Most of us hold both. There's plenty of alternative ways to get the message across. In the words of Will Smith, keep eHex's name out of your mouth. And that's like that's so on point. It's like, of all things to attack and to make the enemy, why would you attack your own community's bags to prop up another coin? It really makes no sense. So yeah, those are some things I wanted to go over, but I'll hop in the comments one sec. Okay, well, let's see how far I can go back. Drop the recovery alpha. Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely take a look at the chart. I hope you guys bought the dip. It did a 96%, went 96% up off the bottom. So that's pretty awesome, pretty vindicating. Normally I would buy any Hex dip, but Richard owning so much Hex, he can kill eHex if he wants. This is the weirdest thing ever in Hex. I agree. It is weird. I don't think he would go to the length of actually selling, because that like truly destroys his credibility. But he might still FUD it. I'm not sure. But at this point, it's like, I don't like the people who are selling because of RH FUD. It's like, he's done 2 pretty strong FUD campaigns now. And it's like, I don't know how much more that could cause selling. But I also don't think he would go to the length of like actually market dumping the OA Hex, even though that would honestly be bullish as hell if he just like decided to completely wreck it and sell it all. But I don't think it's gonna happen. How's it going, late 28? I have no ink, and RH only disses Hex. For D-Hex Pulse, I just aped in. I'm nervous about the entire chain ecosystem now. Unhinged tweets can wreck any of it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what. RH's tweets were pretty wild yesterday. Like, he kind of just like went off the wall, and I don't think it was a good look for any of his assets or this community. Some people liked it. Initially, I was like, this is actually really funny because I'm pretty sure he's watching the stream right now. But looking at it more objectively, it's kind of like, I don't know, you do kind of want someone level-headed with that much power over an ecosystem, but we'll see. I use my ink to buy new Apins. Nice, pay me. I think you're talking about the huge payout. Yeah, man. Honestly, let's highlight that again, because that is a massive win. Only rewarded to people that are using Hex correctly and not fudding their bags or fumbling their bags. When was that auth? Sounds like BS. Not sure what you're talking about. What is the time frame for the 1 billion Hex and penalties? This was today. This is in one single day. It's nothing like early days. It never dipped 99%, let alone for 3 years. It did actually drop 99%. EHEX. Early days was 90% dip for 3 months. I think it was more than that. Did RH make the EHEX is dead token? It has a great logo, unlike so many tokens. No, it's probably just a meme coin. Oh, I mean, that's definitely a meme coin. This is just too weird. Founder fighting their own coins. He owns all the supply. He can kill it if he wants. Yeah, I mean, it is a weird move. I can't really explain it. I've been trying to like find what would be the cause, what would like prompt Richard Hart to just decide to do that. Honestly, it's like especially weird because like Sack Daddy's buying $800 million of ETH and utilizing Maker and other protocols on Ethereum, and then he turns around and like, you know, just shits on Ethereum Hex. It doesn't make a lot of sense. In the times of FUD, remember why you picked Pulse Chain to start with. Pro tip. Such a bizarre couple of days. I'm trying to come up with any theory I can for all of this, but they can all be debunked. Yeah, I think it was like, it started with a, I mean, we can go through Richard Hart's actual tweet because there's things that like just make no sense, but I think it was just a poorly worded tweet. But I also think it was just like bad execution, because it's like, even if you're not staking Hex on Ethereum, it's still a great asset to hold on Pulse Chain. It was doing well. It wasn't, I mean, especially because it was tied to Ethereum for a while. There wasn't crazy trading volume. Like when you look back on volume, it wasn't stealing any volume. There wasn't like, you know, if anything, the things that have hurt Hex the most has been Pulse Chain, PulseX, and Ink. So when we're talking about like people want to like say, you know, concentration of buy pressure, it's like, okay, so what about Pulse Chain, PulseX, and Ink? Are we gonna like kill one of those next? Of all things, EHEX was like the least that has been taking away any buy pressure from Hex. I love and hate the meme market so badly. I'm torn. Yeah, it's an interesting game. I mean, I would advise only, you know, 10% maybe. And you know, people are calling EHEX a meme coin now, but you know, I do expect some like crazy volatility, just because there's a lot of like positive market sentiment with people kind of rallying, and then there's also people that are buying into the FUD. So, in the short term, I think EHEX is going to be pretty volatile, but good opportunities to snag dips. But overall, I mean, I really don't consider Hex ever to be a meme coin, but there was no way to predict this implosion, self-inflicted. Yeah. And that's the thing that really annoys me with these people that like are dancing on graves of their own community that they were right. It's like you could not have predicted RH dropping a tweet that drops Hex 85%. Sorry. Like that was not part of the game. So yeah, there was no way to predict this. And like I just showed, there were people that were completely unaware. And we're just buying Richard Hart tokens, not knowing that, that was going to happen. All the coward influencers walking back like we've moved on to PHEX ages ago. Where you been? Yeah, it's weak, honestly. So glad I treat crypto as a solo game. Yeah, it is. At the end of the day, it really is. But there is strength in community. To be honest, though, it's like you gotta even within a community, there's like you gotta find your people within a community because as we've seen the past couple of days, like everyone's not on the same team apparently that claim to be, and you got to find the real ones that got your back and stuff. So, Tim, how's it going? I was showing your tweet earlier. I got it in at the exact bottom of EHEX, scooped up 1 million sheet. That's awesome, man. That's crazy. That Trump meme, wrong. Can someone remake it? Gaslighting. Sorry to see the message. Hope you are good. Piece of advice going forward. Treat crypto as a solo game. I learned last cycle. But I mean, even if you were treating it like a solo game, and you're doing your own research and kind of just like taking in information, there was no trusted indication that like someone had just mentioned that RH is going to drop that tweet and implode EHEX. Like there was just no knowing that. I don't get down with y'all were the ones who made the price go down. Nah, not me. Yet I get punished. No expectations of the work of others. Yeah, like honestly, Brizology tried to reply to one of my tweets like that I'm the one selling. But he's the one like dancing on graves and like claiming to be right. No, dude, like you were the one that sold. And Richard Hart decided to just randomly drop that. So it wasn't like some alpha move on your part. You were the one that's been selling the past months, you and the same crowd you're in. So it's kind of ridiculous. And I had to like set that record straight. I sold the Hex top on the day. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Whoever saw Richard Hart's tweet first was able to sell the top. So congrats. Yeah, Tim, thanks for sharing that. And I think it's good for the community to see that it affected normal people, honestly. I am so upset. So I purchased more EHEX. It is not dying. It's not, honestly. Like as much as everyone is going to try to kill it, honestly. And I'm gonna later on. I'm gonna talk about how bullish everything that's going on right now truly is. But you do have to be, in order to capture this opportunity. The number one thing is to not get fudded out of your stakes, not get fudded out of your bags, and to buy dips, honestly, because yeah. Pulse chain swap fee was $1 for me. If pulse chain fees get higher, is what you're going to say PHEX is dead? I don't know. His tweet yesterday was to buy $1 of pulse and that it's going to do 14,000x. So that's I don't know about the strategy, but hopefully Ethereum upgrades so that pulse chain can upgrade. Same happened to me, Tam. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Capitulation at its finest, truly. You know, and I think it's unfortunate, man. I don't like normal people to get wrecked because, you know, whether it's like the emotional like strength or control that they get swayed by what people say. Um, I don't like, you know, I don't like to see people get wrecked. But you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. And like, again, I'm going to like work to, you know, I'm glad the truth is like the people, even the like Rich Hard didn't realize, but the people that like are still trying to shit on EHEX don't realize is that there's so many EHEX holders still. And you know, everyone is trying to convince everyone to like dump their bags for PHEX, but that's like, I don't, it just irks me, dude. It's like, yeah. So I'm not going away at all. This is my first live stream gold stream, gold key. This is my first live gold key stream. That's awesome, TNTM. I'm glad you're here. I spent a lot of time there before launch through all the V's. Remember, I think, what was the name of the lottery game on Testnet for Cheers? Are those guys? Potentially. There was one called Free Pulse or something that like didn't end up launching, but Pulse Spot is out. Yeah. Mo Funk, Gold Key, love you, bro. True Hexkin. Ride or die, man. For real. As always, it pays to be staked. Capitulation goes to stakers. Yeah. I mean, it's like we get to see capitulation before our eyes, and you know, people do get rewarded. I kind of have mixed feelings about it because like, I mean, when it's this size, it's like a whale that made a big choice to like EES and probably like buy PHEX or whatever. So honestly, that's awesome because it definitely has more impact on, you know, T shares and payout. But when it's like smaller people that don't have a lot of hex and, you know, EES because they, you know, feel like they need to, that definitely bugs me. It's dead. I try to get you fools to come over to Pulse and Hex with sacrifice to BankX, but I couldn't see them how many low IQ hex can still stayed on EHEX even after the BankX sacrifice. I mean, dude, I just went over the BankX sacrifice and wow, that's just dumb FUD. And I don't even know who you are. So like maybe get your numbers up and speak louder for the people in the back. But yeah, I mean, you're literally one of the people I'm talking about. Thanks for the stream, Gold Key. I bought EHEX last night. Nobody is wrecked unless they fumble the ball. I usually buy top, so that even goes against Mike Green. That's awesome, man. That was a good time to buy. When was the last night? Yeah, good buy, man, honestly. Looks like we got a lot of upward momentum right now, but who knows, guys? I mean, RH is unpredictable right now. So, you know, try to DCA the dips. Don't like full send. Great post by Dipcatcher. Yeah, he's the man for sure. Hit the likes. Yeah, guys. I don't know how many. I think most people are on X. If you're on X, man, retweet out the live. If you're on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe. Yeah, BankX is just another whale. Only difference is they got their hex in a shitty way. Yeah, but I mean, like, what about the Bitcoiners who got all their hex for free? Or like, was that in a shitty way? Did they deserve it? You know, some of those people are still in our community. So I don't know. I just think of it very differently. And I think people fear monger with BankX in order to like try to push a narrative, and it's kind of just a weak narrative. Exactly, 500 million sold just this morning. We bounced back some already. Yeah. I mean, again, guys, we did a 96% pump off the bottom. So people are buying. It's not going anywhere. EHEX, pump it. The real man will stand up or step up and defend the herd. Absolutely, man. And there are people out there. It's not everyone, but there are real ones out there that that are standing up and speaking the truth. So shout out to those people, man. Keep it up. Couldn't agree more. You are verbalizing what many of us are feeling. RH is filling cups. Even if he pivots later, he has officially trashed his reputation and will demand some respect, and will never demand same respect, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like, I do still respect Richard Hart a lot, but I'm not. There's some people that would like literally like follow him blindly off a cliff, and that's not healthy. You shouldn't treat people like gods. People make mistakes. And people know, like in the past, I've spoken out about things that Richard Hart did that I didn't like. Didn't like the PB talk. I was fine with the Hex, the outrage marketing Hexflex stuff, but you know, you don't have to like to support Richard Hart. You don't have to support everything Richard Hart says or does, and you got to be willing to speak truth sometimes. You really do. Yeah. Narcissists never say they are sorry and blame you for the mistakes they made or the things you did. Yeah. It was kind of interesting how, I mean, I hate the word gaslighting, but literally, like, to take zero responsibility for causing that crash is just, at the same time, it's like, maybe he couldn't, you know? But I think it's pretty apparent to everyone, like, what actually happened. The sacrifice to BankX was a strategic move to force the lowest IQ hexagons to abandon EHEX for Hex on Pulse Chain. But alas, it didn't work because people are dum-dums when it comes to Pulse Chain. Yeah, I mean, of all things to be afraid of, like, BankX is very minuscule, honestly. And what's crazy, another crazy thing about the BankX, I talked about this last night. Everyone is like, use limit orders, provide LP, don't dump on the market. And BankX did that, which is their right to do. It's their coins. And everyone's still mad at them. Like, and now they're saying, like, just market dump it. It's like, dude, it's so weird. The whole BankX thing's so weird. I'm done onboarding people unless Richard Hart tweets positively about EHEX. I don't think that's a good mentality to have, man. I think Richard Hart has kind of cornered himself. He's not going to probably speak positively about EHEX ever again, unless we rage pump and then he tries to like claim credit for that, which he likes to do. But like, we got to take it upon ourselves, man. This is like really, this is true decentralization where, you know, you can't expect anyone to do anything for you. That was one of like the early things that really made Hex great. And so as a community, we really have to step up and promote and talk about it. I've been running through scenarios in my head and can't come up with why he would do it. Yeah, I can't either, man. It is a little mind boggling. I think, I don't know, maybe some insecurity about if EHEX did outperform PHEX. Like what that would say about Pulse Chain, because truly, like, it's the only asset that was on both chains, you know, and so, you know, think about like where Ethereum is right now, you know, with altcoin season, money flows into Bitcoin, then it flows into Ethereum, and then, you know, it's altcoin season is kind of how historically it's happened. So, you know, if you look at, you know, the sacrifice address buying a bunch of Ethereum, they're probably anticipating Ethereum to do well in the short term future. So, anything on Ethereum is going to do well, Harsh law, which is crazy. So maybe some fear of that and it just looking bad on Pulse Chain. Not too sure. How could anyone onboard someone into staking Hex after this? Only ones of us that have been here may stake longer or never stake again. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, one of the bright highlights here is like, it is just you interacting with the code. There are external forces that can impact price. But, like we're looking at right now, like with this payout, there is positive, like with the FUD comes a positive with Hex. So, we saw this throughout all of early Hex with the FUD happening and people getting FUD out of their bags and EESing. It only benefits the true believers, the true stakers, honestly. Tam, thanks for being our champion gold key. Absolutely. Long live eHex. Absolutely. It's not going anywhere. It's not like eHexkins who got burnt are going to say, sweet, my bags got nuked. Dude, that might be the best comment, honestly. Like, oh, I don't know. Like, it's so mind boggling what the theory was there. Like, it's rough. And honestly, like, not only eHexkins, but people outside of Hex, like, what do you think people that are looking at Pulse Chain and Hex, do you think it shines a bright light on this community with how that went down? I don't think it does. It's really unfortunate, but at the end of the day, like, we're gonna get through this. It's definitely still worth talking about right now, and but we will get through it. We've gotten through a lot of things, so. eHex was already moving up in the BankX sell wall and would eventually get eaten up without the death tweets. Just ridiculous to do that. I agree. It was we were moving through it naturally, and no one had like I don't. It's wild how much people hate BankX for doing what you would probably do if Godwill gave you that much Hex. Maybe you would stake it, maybe you would hold it, have a different strategy. I think they did stake it, but it's like it's their coins to do what they want with, and it was getting eaten up. So that was another wild thing. He wants all the liquidity of eHex to Pulse Chain, which is a good, like, I mean, there was already so much liquidity, eHex liquidity moved over. Let me pull up the bridge. There is 4.6 billion eHex bridged to Pulse Chain. There was times when it was number 2 behind DAI in value TVL to Pulse Chain. Again, like I was talking about earlier, the bridge TVL was $180 million March 7th, and it is now at 145, and that is because of eHex, and some DAI has moved out as well, but mostly eHex. And that's something I harped on. I talked about this last night on stream, but I, like, for months and months, every time there was a big eHex move, I made a tweet and said, I hope everyone, respects the value that eHex is bringing to Pulse Chain. It's like, it probably has the most upside potential to bring TVL up on Pulse Chain, and no one listened. Richard Hart definitely saw my tweets and he didn't listen. So, it's playing out. If they would have listened, it would have played out differently. But so to your point, back to your point, I think moving, like, again, you don't have to stake eHex. There is a gas fee solution for eHex, which is maximum stake pools. But if you don't want to stake EHEX, then just use it on Pulse Chain. Just trade it on Pulse Chain. Just hold it on Pulse Chain. That should have been, if Richard Hart wanted to really benefit Pulse Chain from this whole debacle, he should have encouraged people, hey, staking Hex on Ethereum might not be the best idea, but bridging over and transacting on Pulse Chain and maybe utilizing Hex's meme coin, it's like, why wouldn't you choose that over basically killing it, trying to kill it? Yeah, I'm all for moving liquidity to Pulse Chain. RH FUD robbed more Hex users of value than ETH ever did. It's provable. You are low IQ. Yeah, he is pretty low IQ, honestly. Thoughts on that whole LP bonding thing? Also great to see you. Thanks, Matt. Good to see you too. I mean, it was quite funny with LP bonding. Like Richard Hart put out a tweet like, oh, it looks like the rest of the market isn't affected by this, when EHEX was down 40%. And then like minutes later, everything was down, like Pulse or Hex on Pulse Chain was down like 10%. You know, everything was down except for Ink. Ink's in its own boat, but liquidity bonding is a real thing. Another thing I harped on with the value of EHEX on Pulse Chain is that it's not going away. There's a lot bridged in. It's very bonded to the whole ecosystem. So if it goes down, the rest of the ecosystem goes down. And it's played out like that. It's like, for someone that invented Hart's Law, like, I don't know how Richard Hart didn't know that was going to happen. I'm sure all those who got burnt are going to want to move more liquidity to Pulse Chain. Great logic. Yeah. The yes men are disgusting trying to justify this. Yeah, it actually is pretty disgusting, honestly. But people use the code on both chains. Yeah, I mean, Hex works on both chains. Like, yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that, honestly. But again, it's like, if you didn't want to stake EHEX on Ethereum because you're afraid of gas fees, you can just hold it and trade on Pulse Chain. It's a valid solution. You can't get all the liquidity on Pulse Chain when most of it is staked. Yeah, I mean, there's still a large percent of Hex on Ethereum that's staked. We'll see if that changes, but there's also a ton of Hex liquid. You know, like majority is probably is definitely liquid. Thoughts on the whole LP bonding thing? Great to see you. Oh, is that you, Matt? Crypto Coffee, what's up, man? I think I kind of just went over that. People trying to strong arm anyone into choosing only one chain and tell you how to buy, sell are just assholes. You do you. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You know, in a world of like free choice, free speech, people are very strongly trying to get you to make moves to only do one thing, and at the detriment of the people they're trying to influence, honestly. Like EESing your Hex stakes, you know, selling the bottom. It's like, those are huge net negatives for people. You can't sell your staked EHEX until you can unstake it. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, like that's that's the one thing I don't understand. A lot of these people like this guy who says they should have moved all liquidity to Pulse Chain from the beginning. Ethereum is robbing the Hex community with higher fees. Okay, so what if you're staked? Like, how would you How would you move your staked hex? And what about the people that are not on X and are just hex users that like Ethereum? There's just so, it's like, I want to make a meme of like, there's just like whatever the picture of the guy like holding the ball, and it's just like the amount of excuses that people are carrying right now to try to like, and they're just like dumb points. Crypto Coffee, I think he was just tired of seeing people buying EHEX on Ethereum. I wish he just said, do all your EHEX buying on Pulse Chain. Yeah, 100% agree. Like, but then, I mean, that's the thing. He could have clarified. He could have like backed that up a little bit, but he decided to 10x and double down and then just like said, you know, Hex on Ethereum or Hex on Pulse Chain is Hex, and like, but he even said that in his original tweet. So I don't know. I think it was intentional, honestly, but I don't know if he was like, I don't know if he meant to tank the market, but fact is it happened. So what up, 420? How's it going, man? The first red flag, it's the EP. You can have one hex price and people don't need to choose. The first red flag, it's the EP. You can have one hex price and people don't have to choose. But there's never just going to be one hex price. So like, and that's honestly, I'm going to pull up what I said. What I said like 6 months ago. If eHex performs badly, haters will always point to it as hex, regardless of how well phex performs, or if you try to disregard it and claim phex is the only hex. So like, it's not good to live in like a delusional state where you think that because you say something that makes it true, and you know it. So when you want to like try to claim that there's only one hex, it's like reality does not agree with you, and it never will. No matter how much you want to like try to convince yourself and other people that only one exists, it's like no, it does. Like it doesn't. And so I would just advise you to like be realistic. Thanks, Crypto Coffee, for your input. EMAXI is the ultimate meme coin, and it's ranking in those EES payments, earning EHEX yield forever while still chilling on Pulse Chain. Amazing. Thanks, Gold Key. Yeah, EMAX. I mean, the gladiators from this payday today made like close to 8 million hex in one day. So, yeah, I'm you know, along with the community, like, I'm also fighting for the gladiators. Like, we have massive hex stakes on Ethereum. And so I have no shame in admitting that I'm also, you know, fighting for my community as well. And, you know, they don't deserve to have half their value wiped out because Richard Hart said so. Then maybe he shouldn't be buying ETH on ETH. No other ERC20s got fudded, but EHEX is bullshit. Yeah. Yeah, that did not help his case because the $800 million ETH buys, everyone's fully aware of on chain. And, you know, he even promoted ETH and said that price is going to go up. So that kind of pissed me off. I think it pissed a lot of people off too. I always buy EHEX from Pulse Chain and use the bridge. That's smart. I mean, yeah, save. I mean, I might build a calculator, just like calculating bridge costs, you know, the strategies around like swapping on Pulse Chain and then swapping or bridging back kind of thing. Yeah. Been looking forward to Alex's Hedron update and what he was doing to solve this problem. Yeah, I was looking forward to it too. I thought it was going to be really cool. It sounds like this whole thing kind of threw a wrench in what he was wanting to do, which is unfortunate. But, you know, I think he's going to still build something really awesome. Liked on entry. Yeah, guys, hit the like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Could have been left alone. What would happen if he did not mention eHex for 10 years? Literally, that is like the $1 million question. Why not just leave it alone? Truthfully, because it was doing like, again, it was just like, I don't know anyone. I mean, okay, so part of the reason I think people had such a misunderstanding was the people that pushed the parody narrative hard. And so anything less than 1-to-1, people thought was, you know, like a sign of failure or something. Although it's still spiked to 0.92. Most people I know were very happy with where Hex was. And this is eHex Hex chart. So you can see, you know, eHex priced in Hex. So it wasn't 1-to-1, but it still had value that a lot of people were happy with. So just weird. So weird. Ain't nothing going to 14,000x when the community just got shit on. What are you smoking? Yeah, it's a bold price prediction. 14,000x is huge, but you never know. I mean, yeah, you really don't know. With ETH Duncan out giving ETH L2s a boost, thoughts on an eHex focused only L2 on Ethereum giving cheap fees? I mean, you would need to relaunch eHex on an L2, which probably, like, I don't know, wouldn't get the support that eHex has. And in a way, Pulse Chain already is, like, for transactions. I like to talk about Pulse Chain as a transaction layer. In a way, Pulse Chain already acts as like an L2 for Ethereum Hex. Would it have died off, or would it have done well? Would that have been a bad call? I think this goes back to your earlier point. Could you have left alone? What would happen? I mean, I don't think it was never going to die off, and it never will die off. You know, I think if we're looking at like motive, why Richard Hart spoke down on it, probably because it wasn't going to die off, and it might have done really well with where it was at, with everything upcoming with ETH. But again, it's like, yeah, it should have just been left alone and had its own life. You know, it's a different asset, but Crypto Coffee, I have made so much eHex and impermanent loss in fees. Bet you have. Yeah. That impermanent loss for the eHex Hex chart or pool. Hex was a flawless design from the start, destined to fail. Hex was a flawed design from the start, destined to fail. No, it isn't. Hex has a beautiful design, and we're watching it unfold right now. Like with the FUD going on and how the Hex contract reacts to FUD, it's part of its beautiful design. Scooped up some at 0.0025 today. We'll happily do the same at 0015 provided the opportunity presents itself. Yeah, you never know. I mean, it's looking pretty strong right now. might get another dip, but we'll see if we get any more RH tweets. So those have been kind of the driver. See if we have any RH tweets. Nope. So we might stay up. Agree with the ones wanting to see EHEX go down are the community dumpers. Anyone with EHEX stakes wouldn't want to see it go down. That's stupid. Yeah, that was like one of the funniest things I've been seeing on X is like the people who clearly EES'd and dumped on the community are the ones now trying to say that like the people who aren't happy with EHEX tanking 85% are the ones that dumped. Like, no. That is the most backwards claim I've ever heard in my life. I think the primary problem here is that it breaks the entire time pays me or longer pays better or delay gratification narratives. A tweet isn't supposed to be able to break that. Yeah, I mean, you know, Hex has an EES function for solo stakes, and you know, the idea with that, like, I think it's proving that to like another level with, you know, before we had FUD from outside our community. This time it's from the, you know, the big man himself. And that the people that did fumble their stakes and lose their T-shares are paying the people that remain staked. So, yeah, I mean, people will get fudded out for this and many more things in the future, but at the end of the day, that is a net positive for hex stakers, and it's just kind of like it's something that should be talked about, pointed to, because that might encourage more people to stake. Doesn't Hart's law include EHEX? Absolutely. That's why I was a little baffled with like wanting to tank the EHEX price when EHEX has so much bonded liquidity with the ecosystem. Really didn't make a lot of sense at all. Everything's kind of in the dump right now. Pulse is down 2%, Pulse X down 1.8%, and Hex on Pulse Chain, which is probably the most heavily bonded, is down 7.3%. So yeah, it definitely pulled everything down. I'm holding strong, not going to ES. I'm going to ride it out for 5555. That's the way to do it, honestly. That is the way to do it. And that's awesome. Not a lot of people have that strength, but I'm right there with you. I have my 5555 stakes, and the way I think about them, like I do think about them separate from like my crypto bag almost. Like I treat my hex stakes as, you know, long term, and I treat hex overall long term. I still watch the chart, you know, and see how it's doing. But overall, like I have compartmentalized my hex stakes in my mind to where it's like there's nothing that would make me EES ever, truly. It's like I'm gonna ride those out. I've committed to them, and so, you know, yeah, I think that's the way to do it. I think that's why RH is okay with letting it rest in peace. EHEX is suffering from an inefficient coefficients. Pulsar, great stream yesterday. Thanks, man. Anthony, how's it going? My first stream too. That's awesome, man. Welcome. Wallosaurus, this whole situation has hurt RH's credibility. All I see is wash trade, Pulse for Pulse X, or vice versa, or either for Inc. But It's not new money. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's what I'm gonna put on record that I think is probably gonna happen is like, Sack Daddy's going to make moves. I think that's kind of inevitable. And a lot of people will kind of point to that and be like, see, it wasn't like this was all part of the plan. Everything's good. But I don't think that really erases like, how this went down. Because a lot of people got wrecked. And at least short term, again, I do feel very positive about long term EHEX. I think, I'm someone that when people hate on something and want it to die, like Hex was in the very beginning, um, that creates a very strong community, but also just a very bullish environment. So long term, I'm still very, very bullish. Walt, good to see you, man. Come over to PHEX. People have been making long-term stakes on EHEX for 4 years now. You can't move that. It's locked. Yeah. And I know the plebs response to this is, "Oh, you got a copy." Yeah, but that doesn't mean like a copy doesn't mean that I want half my bags to get burned, half of my stakes to go to zero. That logic makes zero sense for the people that want people to be happy with their copy and just like let half their bag die. It makes no sense to me. Bright Light 57. What's up, Goalkey? Barely watched. Just wanted to say hi. K9 brought me. Awesome, man. Welcome, welcome. Hex Monkey, good to see you. Only issue I see short term is coin ranking sites and trading views showing EHEX. Yeah, and that's never going to change. Even if, like, I mean, I think people, I don't know, even if that were to change, it's like there's no denying that there's two hexes. Like, they're not going to like completely erase it. I think most sites already say, like, I know Crypto Bubbles says EHEX and Hex, but it doesn't really change anything. BankX is a non-issue. I agree. 10x from lows to the highs. I also agree. I think this could set up for EHEX to potentially. I mean, people love to measure from the lows, so from the lows that have just been created, maybe we go lower, but we're looking strong right now. But EHEX has the chance to be the best performing Richard Hart asset this cycle just because it dropped so hard. I mean, that's the only reason Inc is up so hard is because it dumped harder. So, history rhymes, and it's important to note. I got some dry powder ready to go. EHEX, awesome, man. Scoop some. I would definitely advise like DCAing. Don't full send, but EHEX. I think I'm still way behind, guys, but I'm trying to catch up as much as I can. Question: the payout per T-share pays out on both chains, correct? So if you're talking about this 60 hex per T-share is just on Ethereum. Let's look up. So yeah, 60. It's up to 60.5 hex payout per T-share on Ethereum and 6.8 hex on Pulsing. Small percentage of people does not define majority case. Let's see. A lot of Hexkin streamers are afraid to go against Richard. Yeah. I mean, if you know anything about me, I'm not that person. Overall, I mean, honestly, dude, I've done so much for Richard Hart in this community. Like I made a site specifically for people to leave nice things about Richard Hart. It's called, let's see. It's called heartrichard.anvil.app. And it's literally just a promotional site for Richard Hart. The thing about Richard Hart, I mean, he's like, I think people are a little delusional and they do a lot of actions in hopes that like Richard Hart's gonna like say thank you or like recognize you. He doesn't, and that's fine. I'm still willing to like put in work for this community, but I'm also not afraid to like speak truth. And you know, there's been things in the past I've disagreed with Richard about, and I've spoken it. But there are definitely, I would say, most people that claim to be influencers, which I really am not. I mean, I share things, I build things, and I, you know, but you know, if people are calling me an influencer, I feel like I'm doing my job right because I'm getting, you know, information out there and building products. So it's awesome. But good evening, Gold Key. I still have hope for EHEX on the Pulse chain. Who's to say that one of the many talented developers on the Pulse chain might build some sort of protocol for EHEX on Pulse? No X. Yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, it's like it might not have. I'm trying to think if there is like lending protocols for EHEX on Pulse chain. I think there might be, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure someone's going to build something awesome for Hex on Pulse chain, EHEX on Pulse chain. But it's already an awesome token as is. And if you want to stake on Ethereum, use pools. Harmozy has some good sayings about reputations. Once you ruin it, once you ruin it once, there's no getting it back. I think he wants the bragging rights of 10,000x twice in a row. Honestly, if we take EHEX 10,000x from where it just got sent, we get the bragging rights, honestly. And I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about the people here. I'm talking about the people that are speaking truth on X and, you know, trying to save people from not getting flooded out of their bags. Like EHEX is ours now, honestly. And if it does do a 10,000x, Richard Hart is probably going to try to like claim bragging rights. But honestly, the glory is definitely the community's on this one because he's kind of chosen his side on this whole thing. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. If you don't like EHEX prospects, just abstain from buying, staking more. But don't EES. That's just stupid in my opinion. Yeah, definitely don't EES. The outrage marketing was dumb. Let's just call it what it was. It was so cringe and didn't do shit for the community. It made people say the scam and Ponzi word more. Yeah, I mean, I was never a fan of it. Around that time though, if you like, I only said I didn't like it a few times and people like attacked the shit out of you. It got dumb, dude. It got really crazy back then. Like people were putting yeah. Honestly, it was a very cringe time. But yeah, and it didn't really help anything. So weird times in the past, but we've kind of moved past it. I mean, if Richard Hart is capable of dumping all the coins to near zero, we might as well piss him off all the way right now and get it over with. Better now than later. I mean, yeah, honestly, I said this earlier in the stream, like I don't think Rich Hart's ever going to sell eHex. But if he were to, right now it'd be awesome and just like pull the Band-Aid off and just like let eHex be community owned. Increase of fees for the S-load function on Ethereum. I mean, this is a lot. You're just dropping so many great little tidbits here. I love when people try to act as if the increase in fees for S-load was specifically for Hex. It was not. It was to protect DDoS attacks, Ethereum from DDoS attacks. There was a reason. It was not Hex. So while it did impact us and it was unfortunate, it wasn't about us. It's funny when everyone likes to make things about us, but what about if the OA sells? What happens? I mean, it probably, I don't know, probably could trigger an even crazier self event. Don't really see why the OA would, unless he got like really desperate and like really tried to kill it. But I don't see that happening. I wonder if he'll get his glory in the end. We've waited a long time, put a lot of faith in him, worked hard. This is the first time I've had doubts. Yeah, I mean, I'm still bullish on the whole ecosystem. I feel like this was just such a weird kind of blip in the road. There's still a lot of bullish things going on with Pulse Chain as far as the community growing. New products are being built. So yeah, I mean, we'll see, man. But the bull market has definitely not ended, as I've seen some people claim. If anything, it's just about to start, or it is starting in some cases. But yeah, I wouldn't have doubts, man. One of the mistakes I made in the last cycle was I ignored Rich Hart when reviewing this cycle. A mistake I made was listening to Rich Hart. It's awesome, man. Such an unfortunate overreaction to Rich Hart's tweet about eHex. If you really take an objective look, all RH did was say Hex is better on Pulse Chain. Let me see this showing. So, I mean, it's like kind of a weird, this tweet was so weird. Like Richard Hart likes to hedge things he says. Like the claim that he was observing the market and the market decided. So it's like Richard was trying to absolve himself of some responsibility here, but he was also making huge claims. So I mean, a few things like this is probably the most interesting thing, right? How are you saving people from gas fees if they have to end stake on 2 chains instead of 1? Richard Hart knows about hex stake pools that were built by Maximus DAO. He's mentioned them. He's fully aware that there is a solution for end staking gas on Ethereum. So he's acting like he's unaware of that, which is not honest. Like a lot of his statements here are telling, like in the form of question, but telling people what they should do. And Richard Hart likes to talk in code. So people take interpretations of what Richard Hart is saying because he isn't literal. He likes to like disguise things. But I think overall, like this statement right here. So I'm telling you again, wait, first off, I told you all this before, but likely some don't listen as well. So I'm telling you again, Hex is the Hex on Pulse Chain. The only part that sucks about this is that while I told you that you should be very careful about selling one chain for the other, because if you choose wrong, the market will punish you. Well, the market didn't punish. The market punished people that bought EHEX because of this tweet. It wasn't the market deciding to send EHEX to zero. This tweet sent EHEX down 85%. So I mean, you can try to blame the market, but again, this was Richard Hart's first attempt, which again, it wasn't. This isn't him claiming that one is better only by EHEX. He liked it. He played this game of like, I'm gonna let the market decide. But then June 8th, so Pulse Chain launched May 12th, so less than a month. Richard Hart made this claim. It looks like the market has chosen Hex on Pulse Chain to be more valuable than Hex on Ethereum. After just this little blip, and it was actually gaining value again. So EHEX was gaining on Hex again. Richard Hart makes this tweet, tanks the price 30% in one day, and then we have this sell-off down to whatever this is, down to the low. And, you know, the FUDed sellers got out. Then like this section right here is the market deciding. This was unadulterated, the market deciding. There were buyers and sellers where we had some uptrends, we had some downtrends. Then we had a huge spike up to 0.92. Almost hit 1-to-1 with PHEX. Then we had a sell-off. And then we found a good value for it. Wasn't 1-to-1. Again, I spoke on this earlier, but I think people put out this dumb narrative of like, you know, an expectation that there was going to be parity. So I think when people are thinking about like the success of EHEX, they were like always trying to compare it 1-to-1, but it was doing fine. And then Richard Hart made this tweet and it sent it down to what is that? It was like 0.1, 105 or something. So, I mean, you can blame the reaction, but you know, there does need to be responsibility for this tweet that Richard Hart made. And I think, you know, with how Richard Hart speaks, he likes to speak in code, and this impacted the market drastically. So it is very unfortunate, though. It is very unfortunate, but you know, the real stakers are winning. Again, all-time high with EES. People were able to snag a dip. And we already did a 96% up off the bottom. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like Hex isn't going anywhere. So everyone's talking about Hex for 4 years, then overnight it doesn't exist to them, and you're dumb for buying. Yeah. Yeah, very weird switch. Definitely an overreaction to his tweet. Yeah, but I mean, Richard Hart, like, even though there was a drastic overreaction to his tweet, he doubled down on it, and he didn't try to make it any better. He doubled down and he said, like, there's only one Hex now, essentially, or he was saying this is the real Hex now. So he kind of he didn't help his case, and he kind of further suggested what he meant, and it dropped price another whatever, like 40%. So I don't know. I think Richard Hart is very clear about his thoughts on Hex, on EHEX. So did the ETH upgrade help with any gas fees? It's a good question. I don't really think this one was aimed to lower fees on mainnet. This was an upgrade for L2s, but the idea is, you know, by Ethereum offloading transactions to L2s that it in theory would lower gas fees on mainnet, but I believe he just wants all the volume on Pulse Chain because of all the benefits for users, faster, cheaper, flawless operation. Yeah, I mean, if he wanted all the volume though, he should have said that. And I think that's what I said and what Crypto Coffee said. Like, he should have encouraged people to bridge their eHex over and have a better chain to transact on. But he didn't. Long live Hex. Absolutely. 10x from lows to highs. Could happen for sure. He could have given a heads up at Pulse launch that there would be an abandoned Hex, so choose wisely. Yeah. I've been hearing this a lot. He could have just made it much clearer. Rather than playing this game of like, oh, I'm going to let the market decide, and then, twice drop tweets that just send eHex down like crazy. He could have just been honest and said like, I want, this, I think one thing that caused a lot of confusion is like, the verbiage around it being a copy, and also how we've talked about these copies, these Ethereum forked copy PRC20s, how Richard Hart describes those to other communities, how it was encouraged for people to pair their eHex or their PRC20 ERC20s to make them more valuable. So it wasn't just that like he didn't say that this was, eventually going to be the case. It was like everything around it, surrounded it, was like, there's two. So I don't know. It's been a wild like 180 by Rich Hart. The Hex contract is immutable. Enough said. Even if it's too expensive to stake and get the inflation. Yeah, I mean, I'm really like, the crazy thing about this whole thing, and what's really bullish for Hex on Ethereum is that, although again, I'll start by saying there is a solution to staking Hex on Ethereum, which is Maximus Hex stake pools. You can start or join a pool on Pool Party. So that's ongoing. But with people's inability to end stakes, and with this, this discouragement of staking Hex on Ethereum, is a net positive for stakers on Ethereum. Like, you're talking about less T-shares and more payout to the people who can afford to be on Ethereum. So, although it sucks for like solo stakers not to be able to use, Ethereum for end staking, the people who understand that there is a solution and that saves 99% of gas for all the stakers in the pool, those people are going to be earning the Hex that other people can't afford to. So maybe look into that. RH flooded the eHex or flooded eHex more than the SEC did. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't even remember when that announcement was. I want to say that was like June, July, August, September. I want to say it was like August 30th. Yeah, I think you're right. I think this dip is bigger than the SEC dip on eHex. That's pretty crazy. Maybe E fees will be fixed in the update. Who knows? And then all the stakes would have a lot more value. Yeah. I mean, there is a case to be made that Ethereum does end up figuring out how to lower gas fees, and that might be in this year. That might be in a couple years from now. That's why it's really dumb, if you do have solo stakes to EES, because there is the potential for Ethereum to actually lower gas fees, and your stakes to be able to end like affordable. So that is something to consider for sure. Everybody already knew. I think you would say knew. Everyone already knew the ETH gas fees were high. It's not like anyone had to tell us, but sure is stopping the SAC wallet from buying tons of ETH on the ETH chain. Yeah, I kind of talked about that before. Strange. I don't know. Strange to be going after using Ethereum when SAC Daddy clearly is, but also also promoting Ethereum that you think price is going to go up. So it's like, again, and it's one of those things that's like it didn't need to be said. It was something people already knew, and the way it was said caused people to freak out. So 10,000x from lows to highs. EHEX makes history. I think he wants the bragging rights of 10,000x twice in a row. This is a Richard Hart type thing doing. No, I mean, I think 10,000x, but honestly, Richard Hart doesn't get to like FUD everyone's stakes in bags and then come in after the community puts in work to take it somewhere and then claim that was his doing and that this was all intentional. I've probably liquidated on Pulse since V1. Someone here has probably bought my tokens at some point. That's awesome, man. Keep LPing. Damn it, RH. Lower the liquidity, the bigger the pump. Absolutely. And that's actually the funniest thing about Richard Hart's tirade yesterday was he was talking about how there's less liquidity for EHEX and that's a bad thing for slippage. Don't you understand that that's like the whole point of hex staking is that there's less hex for sale on the market, therefore hex can pump harder. It's like the whole game theory behind staking hex. Creates volatility, definitely creates some slippage, but if buyers want it, they're gonna buy it. But that was really funny to me that was like a thing that he was trying to use against EHEX. Yeah, wild. I'm excited for Alex Icosahedron update. He mentioned possibly EHEX stake on Pulse Chain, so it's going to be bullish. I am transferring my EHEX to Pulse to use it. There would be the gas play. Yeah, so I don't know. That'd be like, I'm very interested to see what Alex is actually building. Like, because I think the way people are thinking about like EHEX staking on Pulse Chain, I don't think it's actually staking EHEX on the in the hex contract on Ethereum. I don't think that's possible. And I think if that was what he was building, then this kind of sentiment change would kind of further strengthen what he was building, because it's like, if you were to able, like, I just don't think that's possible, but I think it, again, not really sure what he's building, but could, like someone asked earlier, like could provide utility for EHEX that it doesn't currently have. Why did he get rid of the EHEX PX farms when Pulse launched? He was against bonding from the jump. I mean, I think the real question is, why did he create them at all if he didn't want bonding? Like, that was something some people have brought up, that clearly, at some point Richard Hart wanted to incentivize EHEX, PHEX liquidity bonding with an ink farm. I don't remember how long it was up, but yeah, it was kind of one more of the weird things of this switch. Unfortunately, people like to make things binary as if you have to say screw EHEX and pick a side. I still think bridging an EHEX to bond is. I still like bridging EHEX to bond to the hex. Yeah, that's the thing. I said this last night. There has not been a single EHEX maxi. Truly, I've never seen anyone talking about how much better EHEX is than PHEX. The people up until this point were simply, like they held both through the fork. They want it to win because it's half their bag. But no one was a maxi, and no one was like trying to promote it over PHEX. And but there are definitely PHEX maxis that like to attack anyone that doesn't want to pick a side, and they want to force people what they should do with their hex and their money. And those people are, like I said earlier, the people that are most vocal right now are the people that EES their hex stakes on Ethereum and dumped on the community the past 9 months. But honestly, Crypto Coffee, you've been dropping some really good. I think you, out of anyone, have kind of been the most level-headed and provided some good insight. I liked one of your recent tweets. Here's the thought: launch hex fork on Pulse for bridged EHEX. For bridged, I mean, you would have to like. I don't think people realize that like the hex token is the contract. Like it's all one thing. There's not like a coin and a contract. So in order to have EHEX staking on, I mean, yeah, it's like that wouldn't work. The hex fork on Pulse is PHEX. So maybe if it dies, they will lay off Richard Hart and forget about attacking him. They may forget about hex altogether. Maybe if it dies, they will lay off RH. And I mean, I don't think so. I mean, one, it's not going to die. It can't die. Like this dump after the FUD campaign, I mean, I would say emboldened a lot of people because they were pissed off. And, the real hexkins that didn't EES and are sticking to their word got rewarded with a historic payout today. So, if anything, I think this really strengthens Hex. So, yeah. RH1 said he didn't want to see cheap Hex anywhere, yet there's Hex on ETH Dub, ETH F. Those are worth nothing. Now we have cheap Hex on ETH too. I think, people like to bring up these forks, like these random ETH forks that, were like a phase for like 2 months, but no one took them seriously. Honestly, they had zero support from the community. There were like maybe 3 people who thought they were clever and that they were going to like get everyone to go to those new forks, but it was like never a serious thing. And they're probably dead now. So, I think trying to compare Ethereum mainnet to those forks is like kind of absurd. And like Hex on Ethereum very much benefits from the network effect of Ethereum and is exposed to different whales, different users. So been eating up these cheap EHEX teachers, going long, going large. That's awesome, man. That's really awesome. Do you think Alex will deploy EHEX staking on Pulse after the shit show? That would be pretty awesome too. He could. I mean, again, I'm not really sure what he is building. But it wouldn't be what you think hex staking is what I was trying to clarify earlier. Unless he's able to like build some cross-chain communication platform, which he might be, maybe like a Chainlink CCIP type thing, but I don't know how you would run that and run the hex contract functions without having to pay for gas. That'd be pretty awesome though. But I think if anything, it would be some form of utility where you like stake hex and maybe earn ICOSA or something, something kind of different. We need Alex the whale. For those of you guys that don't know, I really don't even know how this came to be. But this was like just a funny little story a few months ago. There was just some random guy, some random whale that bought a bunch of hex and did some short-term stakes. Don't know how Matty Allen like got in communication with him. No idea. But apparently, I mean, he just went on stream and Matty was like, Matty's awesome, man. And he was just trying to do like a genuine interview with him. And the guy's his answers were just really sketchy. Like he wasn't like a believer of hex, didn't know anything about T-shares really, like it was just weird. And like shortly after, he basically just like dumped. But at the end of the day, like he caused a pump, like, and it wasn't Matty's stream that caused that. It was he had already been buying and people were like buying into his pump, and that's just markets. But that was a funny little time in hex history. I lost half my money on that tweet, just like the SEC tweet. Yeah, brutal, man. Brutal. But we'll make it back, man. Honestly, and you can't beat these prices right now. Hey man, appreciate your time and the stream. What's the % increase in risk when using perpetuals versus native staking? Thank you for your work. Thank you for your work for the free. So, I mean, perpetuals have been fully tested. Like the code, so Base was the first perpetual to have its first kind of hex stake cycle. So it's a 1-year stake, ended like last September, had a mint reload phase and restaked. Diamond hands worked, everything worked. And that's the same code for all the perpetuals and all the maximum stake pools. So it works. It's actually a very simple contract. So there's not a lot of risk. And it's already been fully tested on mainnet. So the reason is basically the 30 million USD wasted on fees. It's because if we don't shill alt Ethereum dexes as PulseX is the alternative dex, myself included. The reason is basically, I don't know if you're answering someone else's question. Shill alt Ethereum dexes as PulseX is. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to understand what you're saying here, but I'm all for transactions being on Pulse Chain. I advocate for a transaction layer, for it being a transaction layer. I think the thing we need to just like change our perspective in is that rather than like being a replacement for Ethereum, we need to figure out how to be like a valuable node in this kind of multi-chain ecosystem economy now. And I think we've done a really bad job of it so far. So when you think about major projects that launch or are already built, there's kind of a short list of chains that they are on, and they're pretty much the same chains. And we haven't made it on that list for whatever reason. But I think figuring out how to be a valuable node, like I said, I think would bring a lot more traffic, a lot more users, rather than like trying to make people choose between one or the other. And I think being a transaction layer actually is a good use case. So we can prove that with Hex as well. Saw some big transactions. I think one was like 400K in liquidity from PulseX pool. Pulse liquidity during yesterday's stream. One was like 400K in liquidity from PulseX pool. That's awesome. I'll have to look into that. Wait, I'm getting 60 per T-share on eHex. Yep. Let's see if that's gone up. So yeah, now it's let me refresh. Yeah, so now it's 60.5. It's awesome. 1 billion Hex. It's record. Historic day for Hex stakers. The PulseX decks where you can only get ink on V1 or yield on V2 and no V3 sucks and it's slow and glitches all the time. Honestly, yeah, I mean, yeah, was kind of a bummer with the whole fee thing in the V2 pools, but kind of bullish tokenomics for like ink and I mean, people have actually chosen ink over, I think, fee pools, so that's been interesting. But not having V3 is it definitely sucks. I don't like. It's probably been one of the most frustrating things because I really like V3 pools. Not sure why they didn't decide to build that at launch. I'm sure they were really busy, but not sure why they haven't introduced those. Because I definitely think the dexes that have launched on Pulse Chain that do have V3 are starting to get kind of a leg up. T-shares are super cheap on Ethereum right now. Let's see what they are. $68. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, people get so frustrated that, like, you know, oh, people are going to compare, because right now Pulse Chain is $564, Ethereum $68. It's like very hard to deny that opportunity. Obviously, you know, the gas fee as an inhibitor pool solve that, but yeah, I mean, you can't deny like how someone's gonna look at this and be like, which do I get more bang for my buck? Yeah. No point buying, just provide LP, you'll make more. Maybe this is an LP season. Yeah, I mean, I think LPing is good. I'm gonna actually make a tweet. Impermanent loss is a very real thing, and like Crypto Coffee indicated earlier, like the people that were providing Hex, PHEX, EHEX, LP got absolutely destroyed with impermanent loss. But you know, if you're gonna do it, you know, definitely spend time learning, educating yourself, and have a strategy going into it. But yeah. Oh, I thought you said I misread this. I thought you said this LP season. Maybe this is an LP lesson. Yeah. Well, I don't know what to. I don't like. Yeah, this is a nasty lesson in permanent loss. EHEX price was getting the benefit of the pumps of the other RH coins, even without SAC wallet buying it up. Yeah, and that honestly went both ways. I tweeted out over the past year, there were times when EHEX was leading the charge and was lifting up everything else. EHEX was also more recently benefiting from the Ethereum pump, which was awesome. And that was in part due to Stack Daddy buying $800 million of ETH. So, yeah, I mean, it really comes down to recognizing that like EHEX is a part of this ecosystem, no matter how much you want to hate it. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you're not shooting ourselves in the foot. Is it correct info about 600 million USD was spent during these 4 days to ES everything and etc.? No, that was just from from the price dip. So excluding Hex OA or Hex owned by the OA, the value markdown of EHEX owned by users in the last few days is about 12x the gas spent using the Hex contract on Ethereum since launch. So like the amount of the amount of money that people lost from the price chart dipping was 12x more than the amount that people have spent on gas to use Hex on Ethereum. I've never been more bullish on Hex. Now that there is only one that RH will support, I'm buying -100 ratio to Pulse. This didn't go down good, I agree, but we're all better off playing on Pulse and not Ethereum. Glad to hear that you're bullish on EHEX. Yeah, transact on Pulse chain to save on gas fees. But RH doesn't determine what people buy. Like this is free market capitalism. This is decentralization. And we're going to fucking send EHEX to the moon in spite of Richard Hart trying to kill it. It would be crazy to think gas fees won't be cheaper on ETH in 7 years. Looking forward to sharding. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think definitely within 7 years. I thought there was estimate for later this year. But yeah. OA better pump the shit out of Hex on Pulse Chain now. Yeah, man. We're going to need some fat Stack Daddy buys, market buys to make up for these losses. For real. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. Yeah, I think that's, and then people are going to be like, you know, try to wash away what really went down, but we're sending it. Our Hex was had it launched. The two together made them whole. Now we have them again. Yeah. That's like, I mean, I don't know anyone who got their Hex stake copied and was like, okay, I'm ready for this one to go to 0. Like that's the dumbest. Anyone who thought that is dumb. Like no one in their right mind would think that. The only people that say they thought that are the people that EES'd and dumped their EHEX right after launch. So Richard Hart has rewarded those people with some short-term clout to shit on everybody who is using Hex correctly. It seemed like the products to help manage the ETH gas and minimize the effect were being built for the purposes of getting ETH users to be connected. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, Ethereum's definitely working on trying to lower gas fees. They're definitely taking their time. As far as gas fees for staking Hex, that's been solved with Hex stake pools. And if you want to learn more about that, just go follow at Maxis_DAO on X. Great stream. Thank you for all you do. Hit the likes, Hexkins. Yeah. Yeah. If you're on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. If you're on X, retweet the stream. T-share rate for Pulse Chain Hex is $560. And T-share on Ethereum is $68. Silly measuring from the lows. I measure from my entry points. It's the only metric that matters. That and those sweet, sweet penalties. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people like to measure from the lows in this community. So if we're going to compare from that, like we'll do the same with EHEX and we'll see which one pumps harder. But yeah, I mean, when you're looking at your own holdings, entry point is definitely most important. Any idea on one-sided staking? I'm assuming you're talking about like single-sided staking for PulseX. No idea. I mean, we haven't gotten an upgrade or an update on PulseX since the V2 pools, which was like almost a year ago. So I don't know. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But yeah, I wouldn't like bet on any of that. If OA sells EHEX, he would lose the trust in PX as well. No way he's selling. Yeah, I would probably agree. RH fighting EHEX was the ultimate bottom signal. Yeah. I mean, he definitely created a new bottom, but just better prices. So, the market had decided 2-to-1 ratio. I sacked for Pulse and PulseX with no expectations. Now I have expectations that RH has to pump PHEX 150% more to recover those losses. Feel sorry for the newcomers. Yeah. Again, we're going to need some fat sack daddy buys. Expectations through the roof. Got to make it right. At the end of the day, it's his project. He's the boss. No, actually, no. Once it's deployed, it's not anymore. Because, like, think about this. RH likes to say no expectations. He doesn't work for you. So that works both ways. He doesn't get to be the boss when he chooses. And then when he has some responsibility, he can be like, oh, no, I don't work for you. So he doesn't get to choose what people do with their money. People get to choose what they do with their money. And it's been on our community for a year to grow Pulse Chain, promote it. And so, you know, like EHEX, we're going to send EHEX to the moon, and it's going to be in spite of RH just randomly deciding that he wanted to FUD it one day. So we've got to prove decentralization. We got to prove the strength of our community, and I'm here for it. Why not RH put buy wall and let all exit at the same price on Sunday? It has the coins to let all exit for a week. That's a good question. It's a good question. He is not the boss. It was supposed to be an immutable contract that ran with or without him. Exactly. Gold Key, you've done a ton of great work for the community. Glad you've been here and are still here. Yeah, man. Awesome. It was awesome to meet you. I know it's been a little while in Vegas, but I'm glad you're here. You're here as well. Holding through, man. This community has been through a lot, but I don't know what, like, if you've held till this point and you haven't ES or gotten fudded out of your bags, like, you're a freaking diamond, dude. New ETH upgrade is for L2s, not ETH itself. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would encourage anybody to study um, how ETH plans to solve gas fees. Sharding is definitely more for mainnet, actual sharding, but like definitely heavy in their strategy is promoting L2s as a way to offload mainnet. If the market deciding means 10 months of one outperforming the other, then that means the market has decided Ethereum is the real chain. Damn. I guess if that's how we're measuring. Ride or Die was raised on EHEX doing nothing but buying more cheap T-shares, going long and harder at these prices. So to do it, man. The only time in over 1 year RH spoke about Hex, he fudded it. Sad. Yeah. Let's see the last time. Let's see the last time RH tweeted T-share. This will be interesting. Okay, so he asked, do you know what a T-share is? January 6th of last year. But before that, he hadn't spoken about T-shares since 2021. Let me see if he misspelled it different or something. Yeah. All right. I mean, RH hasn't been talking about Hex in a very, very long time. So it's just like definitely frustrating for people that have been putting in work trying to promote Hex. Like the first time he decides to speak on it, he decides to FUD one of the hexes. If EHEX is $1 in stake, fees don't matter. Yeah. Gas fees on Ethereum L1 will never be low. Yeah. Dibcatch has interesting thoughts. I mean, it is kind of true that Ethereum doesn't really have incentive to lower them. Like if people are willing to pay for them, then they keep them high. But me and Dibcatcher can stream sometime and talk about that. Why would he do this? If he's so smart and forward thinking as he supposedly is, how come he didn't see this coming? Did he want the drama and backlash so it all goes viral? I personally don't think he thought he was going to get the reaction he did. Just based off of how defensive and how he just kind of had like a tantrum on Twitter with how people responded to like what that did to the price. He like definitely felt the need to double down, get like way more aggressive with it. Say there's only one hex. I don't think that was intentional. Yeah, I wish he would have thought it through more, and I wish he would have like actually genuinely listened to what I have been saying a whole year of the value of hex, of ehex, and what it brings to Pulse Chain, because I really did lay out. I think out of anyone, I laid out why it's valuable and why it should be respected, even if you're not going to like promote it. At least like let it survive. And if he would have listened to me, all this would have been avoided, truly. Thanks for the 2 streams in a row. This was very much needed for all of us. Yeah, man. I might start streaming more regularly. I don't honestly don't intend to like drum this out. This whole like situation with RH, unless he decides that he's going to like continue on his tirade. I will keep streaming and promoting eHex, as well as other great products and talking about Pulse Chain as well. But this is definitely, I feel need to be talked about. And I'm going to keep supporting the real Hexicans that held through Pulse Chain, didn't ES. And, I'm not going to let people try to bully other people out of their hex and their t-shirts. Like, that's not cool. And so we still here. EHEX holders lost 5, 6, 7, 8 figures with those tweets is not some game. Yeah. Honestly, there's a lot of money lost. A lot of money lost. Really unfortunate. But I think this was something we were talking about earlier, but couldn't Alex or anyone set it up that if you stake EHEX on Pulse, you get rewarded in PHEX as the payout? No, it's 2 separate contracts. So, yeah, you wouldn't be able to stake. And like, this would be interesting. I think again, people think of like Hex, the crypto, like as a coin that's separate from the contract, but the contract is the crypto. And so to like engage with, like PX, for example, you use PX because it's all one thing. It's not separate. So you wouldn't be able to do that. You can panic sell 1 million EHEX on ETH for a better rate than on Pulse Chain, and the swap would be cheaper than the bridge fee. That'd be interesting to look at. Anyways, in on the I don't think so. I mean, it's possible to build a contract that receives EHEX, swap to Hex, stake Hex on Pulse Chain. Just needs an oracle between EHEX for Pulse X v2. Quite straightforward, actually. Build that. A more difficult approach would be to emulate T-share rate payout in a new contract, but it would need some kind of centralized oracle to know the data from EHEX. Yeah, I don't know if that's possible, but if you can build that, that'd be really cool. I staked around 720K USD worth of EHEX at 0.41 cents for 10 years, now worth less than 10K. Seems the smartest thing to do now is just buy more. I think the dumbest thing I can do is ES. Yeah. Honestly, man, don't ES. That'd be a dumb move. I mean, if you staked at 41 cents, yeah, like the smartest thing, there's no, actually, I really can't give you financial advice on that, but I wouldn't ES that. That's, there is a chance that EHEX, doubles that in 10 years. I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, it's up to you, whatever you feel is best. I don't know. I don't know if that's. Yes, Mickey, we are basically forced to DCA right now at the prices to break even later. No, I'm not the guy from the movie. I'm not even famous from my moves. Didn't that guy ever get donations from the community? I think he did. Sorry for asking some more story to his. 41 cents looked like an amazing buy at the time since we were going to never dip this much. Now my hope is I can one day just break even. Sucks so much, man. Yeah, it does suck, man. I was there with you. You know, crazy thing is like people bought into the kind of the top of the market because Pulse Chain was launching. So, you know, crazy run up, but it is really unfortunate when you buy high. Trying to catch up, guys. Sorry. What about the other 30K worthless PRC20s? RH's thought experiment failed. No one cares about some crappy copy chain. ETH is the real chain, which is just jealous. Never achieved mainstream relevance. So yeah, I mean, I've talked about this. The whole world's largest airdrop narrative, my opinion, was a flop. That doesn't mean that Pulse Chain is a flop by any means. Like, Pulse Chain has one of the strongest grassroots community, which money cannot buy. It's in startups, it's one of the hardest things to develop is like a community of people that you're not like that actually want to be there and work on things and grow things. So, you know, the thing I've spoken on about the whole airdrop thing was that like at some point it's better to just like recognize that didn't work and to move on to things that are working. And the things that are working are, you know, supporting builders building on the chain. And if we are going to try to get support from like mainstream Ethereum products, like the chances of them coming over and supporting their like forked product is probably 0 to none. But getting them to either relaunch it, you know, or, you know, I think there's a much better chance there. Cause like the longer time that goes by that those PRC20s just sit there, you know, like the lower the chances that they're going to just like flip on support, in my opinion. So it's better to just like focus on bringing new builders in and, yeah, kind of moving past that. Cause like the world's largest airdrop was kind of a flop. He should be more worried about Sol competitor than ETH. Yeah, I think like RH is pretty stuck on the gas fee narrative, and you know the most people that are experiencing that, you know, is the ETH community. So I don't know, like I don't know like how you'd really compete with Sol. Like they're just we're just different, and you know, we are in the same alt L1. But I think we definitely have more of a chance of probably bringing people over from ETH than from Sol. Sol's a very unique community. Sol has some serious backing. That's why it succeeded. Something Richard will never have. Yeah, it is one of those things that's like I try to look at it as a benefit. Pulse chain being grassroots, community led, no like community funding, no like VCs or anything. But there are trade-offs to that. The one I look at more than anything is Base. I think Base has done a really excellent job with their launch and their support of community. But with Soul and like some other Avalanche and those ones, like, I mean, the partnerships they've landed, and just like the marketing efforts, their core community or their core team who actually works for Soul, works for Avalanche, like they actually put in work. Like they put on massive conferences. They actively work to bring on new developers. They put up grants. They're just on like another level, that I don't know if, I don't know if we'll ever have that with Pulse Chain, but that doesn't mean we can't be successful. It just means we're different. And so I try to look at it on a positive note of like, I think that because we're community led, we have the opportunity to be longer lasting. Cause cause that's harder to kill. It's harder to die off than like kind of a more, big partnership, like, but who knows, man. And honestly, I'm not too worried. Like, I'm not too worried about competition like Soul or I personally study them to try to learn how we can better onboard and grow. Thanks for your perspective. Keep up the good work. You're definitely one of the more level-headed in the community. I try to be, man. I was talking last night. I think everyone should. I try to be, but I'm not always. And but I am trying to work on it. I recommend this last night on stream, but I think everyone should study Stoicism. Look up Meditations, Marcus Aurelius. There's also a book. It's like 100 days, or it's like a year of Stoicism or something. Just teaches you something every day, but it basically, teaches you how to control your emotions and not let things affect you heavily. And again, like I said, I'm trying to work on it. There's times when I get emotional. I think we're all human, but the more you can control your emotions, I think probably one of the most important skills in crypto. So, In Pursuit of Wealth, how are you? Just makes everything more skeptical if anything will pump. Just makes everything more skeptical if anything will pump. I mean, we've had some good pumps. I'm not too concerned things can't pump. It's more just patience on timing. Soul has so much more activity. Look at Dex Screener. I almost think it's fake, but it appears real. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty active on Dex Screener. And you look like when you hit the search bar and it opens up, like this page is literally always filled with Soul assets. I mean, I'd say it's very much driven by just like degenerate meme coiners. But let's see what they're number 2 behind Ethereum, 1.6 billion in volume. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, I would recommend like studying other chains to see how we can do better. Obviously there's some things we can't replicate, like I was talking about with like a team that really drives growth, like an internal team. But I'm also, I'm not like too concerned about competition. Like, yeah, I think we're kind of in our own lane right now. Hopefully we break out, but at some point. All right, so the final payout. Let's see. The final payout. Why is it not? Okay, it's not showing yet. All right, you guys. I'm probably gonna. I think I just got through all the comments. Let's go. Probably gonna in stream, go eat some dinner. But dude, shout out to the real Hexkins, man. Congratulations on a historic payout. You earned it. You didn't get fudded out. And you know, if we're lucky, some more big whales will EES their stakes, give us less T-shares, more payout, and more penalties. Again, I'm not going anywhere, man. I'm gonna represent the Hex community that is still holding strong on ETH, that uses the product the right way. And we're taking this thing to the moon, man. We're doing it. In spite of everything that's going on, we're gonna do it. With all the haters, the hate only makes me more bullish, man. I wish there were more, truly. And I know you're watching right now too. I know you're watching the stream. But we're coming for you. E-Hex to the moon, baby. All right, stay wisely, my friends.